Say at Warrington, I think he really did become a firm fan's favourite and an important part of the fabric of that club during a reasonably successful time for them as well. I mean, I know they didn't win the big one that they wanted to win, but they made a lot of finals. They won some league leaders shields, and he was a big part of that. So, but I just will never get past him having his shirt buttoned up wrong on when he was on BBC doing one of the Challenge Cup games.
I think I missed that.
I'm sure there must be footage of it somewhere out there. But no, in all seriousness, I remember going to a few of the games in the 2013 World Cup, and the first game I went to, I think, if I'm right, was Ireland against Fiji at Rochdale, and you could tell how much it meant for him playing for his country or his mum's country.
Yeah.
So, and I certainly think he did a great job for that side at that time as well. So there's lots of people who'll have good memories of Ashton Sims in Warrington and in Fiji.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not really got a lot to say about Ashton Sims, apart from he still looks like a girl. And Joshua reckons he looks more like a girl than he used to.
Maybe he's lost a bit of muscle.
Yeah. Lee. They've completed the signing of halfback Ben Reynolds from Wakefield on a permanent deal until the end of 2020. Reynolds, 25, was the Centurions' top point scorer in 2018 before moving to Trinity.
Look at that. More re-signings at Lee. They really are putting the band back together. To be honest, he was quite good for them, I thought, in that Super League season. And I was surprised he didn't get a Super League gig the year after that. But then when Lee decided they couldn't afford him anymore, they let him go. And now, apparently, they can afford him again. So they've got him back. Toulouse captain Kane Bentley has signed a new deal with the club until the end of the 2020 season.
Yep. Bradford hooker George Flanagan could be banned for more than 8 games after being charged with a Grade F attack to the testicles in the recent championship loss to Toronto Wolfpack. The 32-year-old appeared to make contact with Toronto fullback Hakeem Maloudi in a tackle on the 31st minute.
I watched some of this game, but I don't remember the incident because I don't think I watched it that intensely to notice an attack to the testicles, but Josh certainly noticed it. He said, George needs to employ a Catalan tribunal team, maybe argue he was doing the oddballs testicle check and wants a superhero persona, the testicle tickler. So, I mean, there's comedy to be found in that there, I suppose, like Josh has found, but also that's pretty serious, a grade F. We don't get too many grade Fs going around. Like the last one I can think of was, well, there was Ben Flower was a grade F. That was some years ago now. There was one, Acton or someone like that probably had one recently.
Yeah, I think possibly.
But that's a serious charge, isn't it? And it could, well, it definitely will do. Even if he doesn't get the full charge, it's going to be his season over, you would think, for George Flanagan. So craziness continues to reign all around the world of rugby league, it feels like, at the moment.
But would it have been a grade F attack to the testicles if he was in Super League?
It probably would have been a grade F, but then they would have got it overturned and no ban at the hearing, because it seemed like if you went to the hearing, unless you were Michael McAlorum, then you were pretty much let off with stuff.
Yep.
It seemed to be the case. Another championship line that came in today, Featherstone Rovers have signed Barrow Raiders centre Jake Spedding on a short-term contract until the end of 2019. Spedding has made 20 appearances for Barrow in the championship this season, scoring 5 tries, and it's nice to see Featherstone signing someone who wasn't a Leeds Rhinos junior.
It is. So Oldham's coach Scott Naylor will leave the club when his contract expires at the end of the season. Naylor is currently one of the longest serving coaches in the British game, having been at the Rougheads for 7 seasons.
And just another line on Oldham, they've signed Wakefield's Luke Hooley and Rochdale's Declan Kay on loan until the end of the season. And then finally in League One, promotion chasing Newcastle Thunder has given a new contract to head coach Simon Vinnigan for 2020. So one coaching departure at Oldham, but one coach being locked up at Newcastle for next year. I mean, they've only given him a 1-year deal. Do you think that's because they're not sure where they're going to be at next year and where he's going to be at if they are in the championship, which is where they want to be?
Yeah, I mean, he's only just come in recently, hasn't he? So
he
maybe
has
giving him
overseen
that
an upturn in fortunes, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe, I guess, that 1 year sort of gives him the stability of knowing he can plan for that season, and I guess then they'll see how it goes early doors and maybe look to extend if they seem to be starting well.
Yeah, I think it's a sensible approach when they're a club that are looking to kind of boom and rise up the leagues, that you can't be sure that you don't want to be locked into a long deal with a coach that hasn't necessarily proven himself at the next level yet, but at the same time you don't want to be not rewarding people who are doing good things for your organisation. It seems like a nice balance. And finally, Keighley Reserves coach Dean Muir, that's how you pronounce it. Dean Muir is deeply upset that the Rugby Football League has turned down the club's application to join the returning reserves competition next year. Last month it was announced that the RFL and Super League had teamed up to bring back the reserves competition from next season. The 11 English Super League clubs have approved a proposal for all of the top level clubs to have a mandated reserve team from 2020. Bradford and Widnes, who also have Category 1 funded academies, will also run second string sides. At the time when it was announced, the RFL confirmed 5 further applications from the Championship and League One had been made, but Cougars reserve boss Muir is frustrated that their request was rejected. It looks like Whitehaven was another one of the teams that was rejected, and the reasoning behind it seems to be that they don't think those two teams in particular have enough squad resource at the moment to be having 2 sides regularly play throughout the season, so they would be leaning too much on the local amateur game to take their players, weakening the community game in their regions. So that's kind of the reasoning that's been given there. But the Rugby Football League have finalised the lineup now for the return of the reserve grade competition next year. And Halifax and Newcastle were the final teams to have applications accepted, so they make it the 15-team competition alongside the 11 English-based Super League clubs and Bradford and Widnes. So there you go. That's the 15-team season. It looks like it's going to be played over 18 rounds, so it's not going to be everyone plays twice. It's going to be everyone plays once, then a few extra games that are going to be based by who is your closest neighbours, which seems to make sense.
Because let's face it, the RFL wouldn't ever like to do anything sensible, would they? Like all play all twice.
I think if you had 15 teams playing each other twice in the reserve competition, you're talking about a long reserve season then, aren't you, though?
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for Keighley. You know, they've been one of the teams that have actually kept the reserves going this season, and it does feel like a bit of a kick in the teeth to them.
Yeah, the reasoning seems to be sound, apart from what you say. Like, they have fulfilled most of the reserve games. They have kept it going. And I suppose in League One, you don't play every week, do you? And they'll be in League One next season. So maybe they could have used first team players in reserve team games, and that's probably what they've done this year, I would guess, anyway. So yeah, there is a thing that I actually think an 18 or so game fixtures is sensible. It means you can have no reserve games around pinch points in the schedule where you want to have everyone available for the first team, and you don't want to maybe pick up injuries on a Wednesday or Thursday night game. So, before cup games or around Easter weekend, that sort of stuff. I like that part of it. But I get what you're saying, although I don't necessarily have great will towards Keighley after some of the stuff that you've seen come out this year. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't like Keighley. I never have liked Keighley. But I can feel sorry for the team and the club, because let's face it, a lot of Super League teams couldn't be bothered to run a reserve team this year, and would rather send their players to Featherstone or somewhere rather than act with integrity and have their own reserve set up.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism.
And Keighley have actually done it the right way. And this, we want to protect the grassroots level. Well, that doesn't really ring true with stuff that you hear at local league level about the RFL.
No, and it's a really difficult job to manage all the levels, isn't it? So maybe this is them trying to make those first steps into re-supporting the community game with the kind of players that they have available to. I mean, I can't imagine how difficult it is to balance it all out. One of the positive things you've seen this year is it feels like the availability of tours and things like that for the community players is only getting bigger. So they're getting representative opportunities for not just for England Lions now, but for like a Northwest side or a Lancashire side or a Yorkshire side and things like that. So maybe they're trying to encourage people to stay in the community game, knowing that League One clubs don't have a lot of money, and so it doesn't seem necessarily right that they're trying to take on a large squad of players when they don't have the money to sustain that size of a squad.
Yeah, maybe.
Not an easy one to figure out, but that is our last piece of news this week. So we're now going to look back on Super League round 25.
It's flying by.
Super League match reviews time then, and it's round 25. Average attendance for round 25 was 7,859. It all started on Thursday night, where there was 10,987 there. Ben Thaler was the referee for St Helens' visit to Warrington. Well, I would call it the dress rehearsal to the Challenge Cup final, but I kind of feel like a lot of the key players weren't necessarily playing in this one, so I'm not quite sure it was. It was 12-10 at half time to Saints, but they managed to really make that advantage pay in the second half, and they ran out 30 points to 12 winners. In terms of the stats, although Saints had a sub 90% tackle success rate again, they made 385 more metres at 1.3 metres per carry, better average gain, and had an extra break with an error fewer. That all made up for the poor tackle success rate. Warrington struggled to make ground for a second week in a row, making only 813 metres in this game. Individually, Kyle Amor had a try, 125 metres and 3 successful offloads. Regan Grace had 6 tackle busts and 153 metres. Tommy Makinson had a try and 190 metres. Johnny Lomax had a try, 5 tackle busts and 110 metres. For Warrington, the only person who hit the stat notes was Chris Hill with 104 metres. He played long minutes in this game. It felt like forever before he went off for a break.
I just like the fact that Chris Hill is down as the only loser.
The best loser for his sake, but there you go, still a loser.
In more ways than one.
Do you want to give us the first of the fan views?
Yep. POB 1976 said a close first half before Saints got the better of Warrington after the break.
Tom Eckley said, to be honest, with 2 debuting halves and an inexperienced turnstile of a right edge, I'll take that scoreline. I think he means left edge. It's hard to be optimistic after the past few weeks, but with the spirit of Matty Blythe, we'll come good in the end.
At Mike Dodd 22 said, a spirited performance which saw a much better scoreline than I was expecting. Ratchford showed his class, but it was always going to be an uphill struggle after losing Curry and Walker in the first half. The worst thing about the night was that they closed off the secret exit to the main car park, so we had to queue for ages to get out.
I didn't know about the secret exit, so...
No. I guess it's no loss, is it, if you didn't know about it? It
didn't stop the fans getting to the the St Helens coaches, so hopefully they can find a way of blocking off that exit in future weeks, or just getting rid of the people who throw bricks at coaches. Assuming there were people that were in the ground, though, I suppose is the troublesome part of that.
Yeah,
outside
true.
The ground. Tom Andrews said, very enjoyable game with big hits aplenty. Ben Lampasander was good for Wire, but it was the Saints quality that shone through. I found it a particularly satisfying win, as half that Wire side shouldn't have been on the pitch. I was thinking it was nice to see no trouble at the game, but then I saw the images of the brick Saints coach. Remember, it was all the Catalans' fault, though. It was all James Child's fault.
Yeah. Frogmore said, I love my team. Beating Warrington makes it even better. The young lads like Wellesby, Lees, Smith, Ashworth and Bentley had a great game against the second best by a long shot team in the league. How about that cut-out pass by Wellesby to T-Mac for his try there? And some emojis which come up as boxes on my screen.
One of them looks like an OK symbol
Yeah.
with the hand, but the other one's a box as well for me. Frog